Hey everybody, I'm here just doing a bit of an update. I apologize if the camera gets a bit shaky because I'm doing this without my tripod because I'm going to be running up to show you guys some stuff. Essentially, I wanted to do just a bit of an early February update just to talk about some of the stuff that I'm working on. Most of the stuff that was in my last update is done, except I was talking about this piece of terrain that I'd be starting that. So I've kind of got the next projects. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be doing for 40K and D&D and other projects. So to start, I just have one thing as far as for my Knights of Griffin. I had to take apart and green stuff and really clean up this model that I'd gotten that I believe is the captain. There was a lot more damage than I thought actually from the prior person that owned this. This piece here was just completely broken, and this one needed to be cleaned up, and this was completely snapped off. There was just lots of problems with it, and so it didn't take long actually. It was pretty minor as far as patching it up, but so I'll be working on that as far as my Knights of Griffin. For my D&D stuff, I've had, as I've said many times, I've had requests to move on a little bit and do some how-to stuff versus just showing my stuff. Quickly, I'll just say that, you know, I don't consider myself like the best, or I don't consider myself top tier on YouTube as far as a painter. Like, I like my stuff, but I'm realistically, I've been painting for about 2 years, you know, despite going on 41. I really took this up recently. I mean, you know, for a number of reasons, and so I'm quite happy with where my paintings come, and quite honored that people are interested in some of exactly how the stuff I do my techniques, which I've learned almost 99.9% from YouTube. So what I'll do is I will honor that request, and I will do a longer video on these skeletons, and I'll talk more about my approach and why I chose the skeletons and why I'm going to do that. But essentially in this video I'm going to show everything from beginning to end on how I paint it. If I'm not sure that I'm going to do all the painting, like I might do some where I do some speed painting, but basically I'm going to show the technique on every single thing from beginning to end with this. And so I will then have I guess no longer been lazy to do this, because I've said I'm going to be doing this for a long time. And so yeah, so I will do that, and so that'll be coming up shortly. What I'm working on right now is this, it's called the gosh, it's funny, I spent quite a bit of time picking this one out, and I'm already forgetting it. It is the Sanctum Imperialis. And so I didn't get creative. I typically like to get creative with stuff, you know, and do things a little differently, but in this case I really wanted to just do it exactly like they did on the cover. And I don't build a lot of terrain kits, and so I didn't know, this was actually quite easy. It's really straightforward for the most part to build, and even to just mimic theirs, but I'd never done it before, so I wasn't sure how easy it was going to be. Right now it's a little shiny because I have sprayed it with a rattle can or a spray can of gloss. I typically don't use the spray cans, but for terrain and things that are, this isn't necessarily less expensive, but for terrain I prefer not to be using small little bottles and airbrushes personally. And I've got some of this stuff, so I just figured I might as well use it on it. I will eventually be using the airbrush to do more of a satin when I'm done, but I just wanted to protect it. I went for a red. I want to do something a bit different. I often do grays and browns for terrain and stuff. I've seen people do blues, and I actually painted it initially. I primed it black, then I actually spray painted it brown, like an espresso brown, and then I gradually brought it up from the brown to what you see here. And if you look underneath, you can see it's much darker there. That's because there's much less of the highlights of the red. I basically airbrushed highlighted this. And yeah, you know, like it actually, for that first phase, just to get this sort of color, I think I kind of got what I wanted. Like it definitely is lighter on the top. Of course, this is, I'm going to just move it away from, I'm moving it out from my, underneath those fluorescents that I always mention. But essentially, when you look at it, it's I think it shows highlights pretty well, and where it's darker pretty well. So definitely darker down there. I'll just go back underneath here. Definitely darker down here, and then lighter as you go up. And so, yeah. So this will be fun because I'm looking to be able to have some home 40K games. And there you go. I'll be hoping to finish this guy up soon. I'm going to put a nice base on him and do some cool basing stuff. And then I should be ready to go. Now, one of the things I was going to do today, I will say I talked about the Infinity. And to be honest, it's funny, I have a group that I play 40K with, and some of them play the Infinity, but it hasn't really taken off as much as I would have liked, and so I haven't really been finishing painting those. I am going to paint those models, and I am not giving up on the ability and prospect of playing Infinity, because I quite like the game. But like many of you may sympathize, I don't know, you can paint all you want and you can get into it and really like a game all you want, but if nobody else is playing it, then you're a little stuck. And that's kind of where I'm at. I still have had a desire to play some other games besides 40K, as much as I like 40K. And I am actually, and I'm actually not going to say what it is, but there is a game that I've gotten really interested in, and it offers a lot of cool painting opportunities, and some folks in my area are looking for people to play it. They're folks that I'm not actually have played wargamed with, and so I actually picked it up, and I've got a box coming in the mail, and I'll do a bit of an opening and show it. So with that said, I wanted to do a little personal commitment to getting some of my projects done this year. I know a lot of people do this because the more you're into this gaming, the more and modeling, the more you collect models, and the more you have to force yourself, as much as you love painting, to get it all done. And it's hard. It's hard to find all the time in the day. And so I find it's much easier to buy than to get projects done at times. And so I have a box coming in the mail tomorrow, because tomorrow's my birthday, and it's from Forge World. I've never ordered from Forge World before. I should say it's coming in the mail tomorrow. It's already here, but like my wife and kids and stuff, we're having a bit of a birthday party, and so I'm getting to open up my box of Forge World then. So I won't be doing an unboxing on video, but I will show you my loot that I got. But then I also have this other game coming, probably another week or two after that, with a box of stuff. And so I'm starting to get a little anxious, because I don't like a lot of miniatures laying around unpainted, because basically what it tells me is that I actually don't have enough time for what I want to buy. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just, I like turnover. I don't, and I sort of figured out that my turnover was about 6 to 8 months. It's been about 6 to 8 months for the most part, and so some more, some less. So what I really want to do is make sure that I've got my eye on the ball, and that I'm painting what I've got, and that I'm not actually, keeping stuff around that I'm not using and buying stuff that I'm not using. And so here I'm going to show you what I've got. I apologize for my cabinet, but I just kind of organized this a little bit. VHS tapes, shows how old I am. Here's that Infinity that I just talked about, and so I still have one miniature to paint from that original set. I never finished the original guys here. I still have this guy. I've painted 4 out of the 5. So I've got all these guys that I've shown on video that I've not painted yet. So there's 2 drone bots, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. So I do have to do that. I'm not in a huge rush, only because I can't seem to play it even if I want to, and so that's kind of my excuse. But I have still, from last June, a box of these Wraith Knights. Now I've got 10 Wraith Lords. Now I've got 10 Wraith Lords that are metal, and that's one of the reasons why I've been slow, but I've been wanting to do these at least as Wraith Blades, if not magnetizing and making them, so I have 15. And so I've got to do this at one point. I've got a bunch of Eldar Guardians that are really just leftovers because I use them for jet bikes, but I've got a good amount of them in here because I use, you know, what, I used 6 for jet bikes, but I think in here there's a lot more than that, and there's at least, there were like 20 in here or something like that, and so I've got that, you know, models just sitting on the shelf. I've got my librarian for my Knights of Griffin they're going to be doing. This guy won't be too long. I just, in some ways, I've been wanting to really paint him, and the only reason I haven't been is I've been wanting to get the paint schemes down. I don't like doing somebody that I want to be really good, you know, come out really good right away. And despite that, he's going to be a different paint scheme, because I'm going to be doing him Codex Blue for librarians. I've got my Rhino that I've got to do, and so that's most of it, you know, of what, like this stuff, this isn't, you know, these aren't models, they're just stuff that's in here. So, I guess, that's a lot to me. I'm interested in what other people, some people may say, you know, you gotta be joking, I've got 10 times more than that I've got to do. That might be the case, but I'm, the stress of trying to turn it over gets me to paint more. And you know, I also didn't mention all of these that I have to do, but to be honest, this is going to be more a year project. Like, I'm going to be doing a video once every couple of weeks, you know, on some of these for that series. But the stress for me, which shouldn't be stress because I enjoy this, it's my hobby, but a little bit of it keeps the turnover there and keeps me productive, and then a little bit of it is just, I don't know, too much. I probably shouldn't be stressed. So 2 more boxes coming in the mail in the next 2 weeks of miniatures and all that stuff I just showed you still to paint, and so I've got to get this stuff done, and basically I guess this is more of a painting miniatures, you know, anonymous kind of video. Like, you know, I'm kind of holding myself publicly to all my subscribers that I gotta work on this stuff so people can see, so I can you know, make some headway on this. And then also when all these other models come in, you know, it kind of magnifies what I just showed you. I hope that wasn't too unintelligible, but I appreciate you guys listening and staying and watching the videos. And for those of you that make your own videos, enjoying watching yours and looking forward to seeing more stuff. So before I go, I did have a request from one of my subscribers to see one of the fish tanks that I have. I'm not going to go through all of them in this video, but I'm just going to do a little bit of that one's dark right now, coral tank. Here we go. This is my display tank of all my coral, clownfish. I've got a bunch of different kinds of fish. That's a wrasse over there. That's a tang. They're not I've not cleaned the front of the glass for this video, I apologize, but torch coral. So this is my sort of little underwater paradise here. And my other big hobby that I'm into besides wargaming. And at one point, I'll show all the tanks if people are interested, but essentially that video will be more like, what do you wargamers do besides wargaming? And so that's it, and what I can show is a different effect that looks kind of cool, and that is moonlighting. Not the show, but moonlighting in my tank. So. Okay guys, so that is it, and take care.